I woke up to a miracle today. Triggers fade as I find my way. No judgment to lead astray. In this peaceful state I'll stay.
Welcome, everyone, to A Course in Miracles in Practice.
Great to be diving into this with you all. Today we're looking at Lesson 235.
Right, Lesson 235. And before we jump in, just a quick reminder, if you're listening on Spotify, check out today's poll question. We love hearing from you.
Absolutely. And you can always connect with our community through social media. We're at the World Harmony Project, or shoot us an email at acim@theworldharmonyproject.org.
We really do value those connections and hearing your thoughts.
It makes this whole exploration richer.
So today's focus is Lesson 235. God in His mercy wills that I be saved. This one comes from the What is Salvation part of the course.
And it presents some, let's say, fascinating challenges or points for discussion right from the start.
Okay, so let's start with the lesson itself. I'll read the title. Lesson 235. God in His mercy wills that I be saved.
And here's the first paragraph. I need but look upon all things that seem to hurt me, and with perfect certainty assure myself, God wills that I be saved from this, and merely watch them disappear. I need but keep in mind, my Father's will for me is only happiness, to find that only happiness has come to me. And I need but remember that God's love surrounds His Son and keeps His sinlessness forever perfect, to be sure that I am saved and safe forever in His arms. I am the Son He loves, and I am saved because God in His mercy wills it so.
And then the closing affirmation. Father, your holiness is mine. Your love created me and made my sinlessness forever part of you. I have no guilt nor sin in me, for there is none in you.
So when you first read that, especially maybe if you're newer to the course or just encountering this lesson cold.
Yeah, the initial take can be quite specific.
Right. It's very natural to think, okay, God is this external power, this being outside of me, who's literally going to step in and fix my problems. Like, okay, I'm struggling with, I don't know, obesity, or I've got these huge student loans, or my income just isn't cutting it.
And the lesson says, God wills I be saved from this.
Exactly. So the immediate thought is, great, God's going to handle my weight, or God's going to pay off my loans, or God's going to make more money appear.
It sounds like a promise of direct worldly rescue, a kind of divine intervention in the physical realm.
Precisely. That's a very common, very understandable first interpretation.
But then there's that phrase, all things that seem to hurt me. And that's where I think the friction can start for people.
Talk about that friction.
Well, if you're dealing with something really intense, right? Like chronic physical pain or deep emotional trauma or just crippling financial stress.
Things that feel undeniably real.
Absolutely real. Painfully real. To hear the course say, it only seems to hurt, well, it can land really poorly.
Like it's being dismissed.
Yeah, or even worse, like it's some kind of spiritual gaslighting. Like, oh, your suffering isn't actually real, you're just imagining it.
Which feels incredibly invalidating when you're in the thick of it.
It creates this huge gap, doesn't it? Between the language of the lesson and the raw, lived experience of genuine human struggle. You're left thinking, how can this possibly just seem to hurt?
And that word seem is actually, it's the whole key, isn't it? It's the doorway.
It is. It's not a dismissal.
No, not at all. It's an invitation to look deeper, to reinterpret the experience itself. But maybe before we dive into that distinction, it's crucial to state what we're not suggesting here. We are absolutely not engaging in spiritual bypassing, using these ideas to just avoid dealing with real emotions or practical problems.
Right. It's not about slapping a spiritual Band-Aid on things and pretending everything's fine when it isn't.
It's not about escaping reality. It's about learning to see reality differently, or perhaps learning to see through the reality we usually perceive.
So when the course uses seem to hurt, it's inviting us to make a really crucial distinction.
Yes. Between pain and suffering.
Explain that difference in this context.
Okay, so pain we could think of as the objective stuff. The events that happen, the physical sensations, the facts on the ground, what is actually occurring.
Like the diagnosis is X, the bank account balance is Y, the person said Z, what happened.
Exactly. That's the first layer. But then there's the second layer, the suffering. And that's our internal stuff.
Our interpretation.
Our interpretation, our resistance, the whole narrative we build around the facts, the story we tell ourselves about what those facts mean about us, about our lives, about the world.
And that distinction between what happens and our story about what happens is central.
It's everything. And importantly, Making this distinction doesn't mean we don't take practical action in the world.
Right. You still might need to see a doctor or create a budget or have a difficult conversation.
Of course, the course isn't about becoming passive. But understanding this difference changes how we engage with those actions. It changes our internal experience while we're taking action. We're learning to see the circumstances differently, not pretend they don't exist.
Okay, let's make this really concrete.
Yeah.
You brought up student debt, which is painfully relatable for so many people.
Unfortunately so.
So let's break it down using that pain versus suffering model. The actual situation, the first layer, the pain.
Okay, that's the objective reality. You borrowed X amount of dollars. There are specific due dates. There are minimum payments required. Interest is accruing at a certain rate.
These are facts. Measurable, undisputed. This is what's happening.
That's the external circumstance, the pain element, if you will, in its raw form.
But then comes the second layer.
Yeah.
The narrative overlay.
The suffering layer. This is where it gets complex internally.
This is where we start telling ourselves stories about the debt.
Exactly. Stories like, this debt proves I'm just irresponsible, I can't handle money.
Or, I'm trapped. I'll never be financially free because of this. My dreams are impossible now.
Or maybe deep regret. This just shows I made terrible choices back then, and now I have to pay for it forever.
That whole intricate web of self-judgment, fear, limitation.
That is the suffering. And the course's phrase, seem to hurt, it points directly at that layer.
So the debt existing is a fact in the world.
Yes. But the story that says you are fundamentally flawed, or a bad person, or doomed because of the debt.
That's the interpretation. That's the part that only seems to be true about your fundamental reality.
Precisely. The meaning we attach is the source of the suffering, not the circumstance itself. It's like the debt becomes a stage prop in a play the ego writes.
A play designed to keep us feeling guilty and separate.
Recognizing that play, seeing the script, that's the first step towards stepping off the stage.
That ties right into how we've been exploring the ego's dream operates, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This student debt scenario is almost a perfect, if painful, example.
It really illustrates how the dream, this illusion, actively creates these adversarial roles. It sets us up against each other.
Like characters in a drama designed for conflict. So in the student debt play, who are the characters the dream casts?
Oh, there are quite a few standard ones. You've got the responsible taxpayer, right? Often feeling resentful about bailouts or forgiveness, feeling like their hard work is being devalued.
Then there's the caricature of the deadbeat borrower, painted as someone lazy or trying to game the system.
And you often see the predatory lender, the villain maximizing profit without concern for the human cost.
And maybe the naive student who gets blamed for not knowing better, for taking on debt they couldn't handle.
And the really insidious part is each of these roles feels completely justified from the inside. Each comes with its own set of grievances, its own sense of moral high ground.
The taxpayer feels, I sacrificed and paid mine off, why shouldn't they?
And the borrower feels, the system is rigged, the interest rates are impossible.
Everyone feels wronged, everyone feels right.
But if you step back and look at the whole machinery of it, the policies, the institutions, the cultural messages,
It becomes pretty clear that nobody really designed this system with the goal of helping people flourish.
not really. It almost seems perfectly engineered to produce stress, shame, resentment, conflict.
Exactly. It's almost perfectly designed to generate shame within people and resentment between groups. Division.
The dream doesn't just create the debt, it creates the whole framework where we judge and pit people against each other based on this stuff.
It's a powerful tool for separation.
And when you're caught in it, playing one of those roles,
It feels awful. Utterly real.
of course, you feel like a victim, maybe, or sometimes even like a villain, depending on the narrative you've internalized. And everyone around you seems to be playing their part too, reinforcing the whole thing.
The media, society, it all seems to confirm the reality of these roles in the conflict.
But the course offers a way out. Not by denying the practical reality, you still have to deal with the loan payments.
Right, the practicalities don't vanish.
No, but the shift is in how you hold those roles, how you see yourself within the system.
So instead of thinking, I am a failure with money,
You start to see it more like, I am someone currently navigating a situation with debt within a system that seems set up to create these kinds of difficult situations and assign these roles,
it's a shift from identification with the role.
to an observation of the role in the system. It's subtle, but it changes everything internally. It takes the personal sting out of it.
Which brings us to that really potent line in the affirmation, I have no guilt nor sin in me.
That can be a tough one when reality seems to contradict it so loudly.
Intellectually, you might grasp it. Okay, God sees me as sinless. My true self is perfect. Great.
But then
Monday morning rolls around, the phone rings, it's the collection agency again.
Or you walk into work and you know people know you filed for bankruptcy, you feel their eyes on you.
Or a family member makes a comment, that look of disappointment.
And suddenly that intellectual understanding feels very far away. The feeling of guilt or shame or judgment is overwhelming.
You think, how can I have no guilt when I feel so much, when the world is basically screaming that I should feel guilty?
And that's the crux, isn't it? The Course isn't being naive here. It knows the world operates this way.
It's not saying the collector won't call or people won't judge.
No. The world will likely keep playing its part in the dream. The profound shift happens inside you.
How so?
Instead of automatically accepting their judgment, the collector's implied judgment, society's judgment, as the truth about you.
You start to see it differently.
You start to recognize it as evidence, not evidence of your failure, but evidence of how the dream operates, how it constructs these narratives of blame and shame.
So their judgment reflects the dream's script, not my true self.
Exactly. You detach from believing their interpretation defines your reality.
And that's where the freedom comes in. That's how the shame starts to loosen its grip.
That's the beginning of it, because you realize the guilt you feel, that deep sense of being bad. It's not actually about the money owed.
What's it about then?
It's about buying into the story. Believing the narrative that owing money or failing in some worldly way makes you fundamentally unworthy or irresponsible, accepting the world's judgment as the truth of your identity.
So when you really start to get that, the whole framework, the blame, the roles, the judgment is constructed, it's part of the illusion.
Then the shame starts to lose its power. It loses its grip on who you believe yourself to be, even while the practical problem, the debt itself, might still be there on paper.
The external facts remain, but the internal identification shifts.
That's the radical freedom the Course is pointing towards.
Okay, so the practical question then. How do we actually do that? Monday morning, phone rings, debt collector. How do we handle that moment drawing on the Course?
Or walking into that meeting or facing that family member.
It has to be more than just theory. It needs to be something actionable right when the pressure's on.
Right. Now, the typical approach, maybe even from a therapeutic standpoint, might focus on coping mechanisms.
Like developing empathy. Understanding the collector is just doing their job, or the family member has their own fears.
Exactly. Or understanding the systemic issues, practicing self-compassion, all valuable things.
But what's the limitation there from a Course perspective?
Well, that kind of thinking, while helpful for functioning, essentially keeps you trying to be a better, more compassionate person within the dream.
It accepts the dream's framework as real.
It does. It often locates the problem externally. The system needs fixing. Other people need to change for you to feel better. It's about coping with the dream.
Making the dream a bit more bearable.
Which often leads to a kind of compassionate resignation. Okay, this is tough. We're all struggling. Let's just be kind and get through it.
It still feels like being a victim, maybe a more understanding victim, but still caught.
Whereas the Course's approach aims higher. It's not about coping within the dream. It's about waking from the dream.
And that leads to a different feeling.
A completely different feeling. Instead of compassionate resignation, it fosters curious openness. Instead of how do I cope with this bad situation, the question becomes, what is this situation showing me about my own mind? What projection am I seeing? What is the call for love here?
So one makes you a victim trying to cope well.
And the other makes you a teacher, offering the gift of a healed perception to the situation itself. You shift from being at its mercy to being a source of light within it.
Okay, so let's talk about that Course-based morning practice you mentioned. How does that work?
It's a way to actively apply these principles before you even step into the day's interactions, especially the ones you anticipate might be difficult.
Setting the stage internally.
Exactly. So, step 1, acknowledge the projection. The upset I'm feeling about today's interactions is showing me my own guilt projected outward. I am never upset for the reason I think.
Okay, back to the debt collector call. If I'm feeling dread.
Step 1 says that dread isn't really about the call itself or what they might say. It's shining a light on my own internal beliefs. Maybe I'm irresponsible, I'm a failure, I deserve punishment.
The external situation is triggering the internal stuff I already carry.
Precisely. The upset reveals my own projected guilt. Okay, step 2. Recognize the call for love. Everyone I'll encounter today is either extending love or calling for love. Their attack is their request for healing.
So even if I imagine the collector being harsh or aggressive,
This step reminds you to look underneath that appearance. Whether they are actually harsh or just doing their job, the practice is to see past the role, past the seeming attack, to the underlying call for love or healing in them.
shifting from defense to understanding even before the interaction.
Yes, it changes your internal posture completely. Ready for step 3.
Okay. Step 3, take responsibility for the projection. I am seeing my own unforgiveness reflected back to me. This situation is my classroom for learning forgiveness.
This one is huge. Instead of they're judging me.
The question becomes, where am I judging myself in the way I perceive them judging me?
Exactly. What unforgiveness in me is being mirrored here? Maybe their perceived judgment about my debt reflects how harshly I judge my own financial choices.
So the situation isn't an attack, it's a classroom. My classroom for forgiveness.
Bingo. Okay, step 4.
Step 4, choose the Holy Spirit's interpretation. Holy Spirit, show me how to see this differently. Help me see past the appearances to the light in everyone.
This is an active choice, a request.
Not just hoping it looks different, but asking for help to see it differently.
Yes, asking to see past the roles, the conflict, the appearances, to the underlying truth, the light in them and in me, surrendering your ego's interpretation for the Holy Spirit's.
Okay, step 5, remember what's real. Nothing real can be threatened. My true self and theirs remains untouched by this situation.
Or whatever happens in the call, whatever words are exchanged.
None of it can actually touch or diminish who I truly am. My real self, their real self, is safe, untouched, beyond the drama.
It reminds you of your invulnerability in truth. And finally, step 6.
Step 6, extend forgiveness in advance. I forgive them now for what they have not done to the self that cannot be harmed.
This is preemptive, before they even have a chance to attack or judge.
You're already releasing them from that role in your mind.
You're forgiving them for something they literally cannot do harm your true self. It dissolves the conflict before it starts because you're choosing not to see an attacker.
Wow. That's a very different way to prepare for a potentially difficult interaction.
It's been completely transformative for me personally. The way I show up is just remarkably different.
How so?
Less defensiveness,
Dark-
less anxiety. Sometimes I get to the point where I'm questioning if the problem I was dreading even exists in the way I thought it did.
Because you've shifted the internal landscape first.
Exactly. Seeing the call for love instead of an attack just changes the whole energy. The peace is undeniable.
This really highlights the core difference in thinking, doesn't it? The world's way versus the course's way.
Absolutely. Worldly thinking tends to see the problem out there.
Flawed systems, difficult people, bad circumstances.
Right. The solution, therefore, must also be out there. Change the system, change the other person, fix the circumstance.
Whereas the course consistently points inward.
Not to blame the person, but to correct the misperception. The problem isn't the world, it's the lens through which we're viewing the world.
So the world's approach implies we need everyone else, or society, to change for us to find peace.
Pretty much. It makes our peace dependent on external factors. The Course offers this radical possibility. You can find unwavering peace right now, regardless of what anyone else does or what the circumstances look like.
Because peace is an internal decision, not an external condition.
Exactly. It flips the script on cause and effect entirely.
And the feeling that results is different too. The worldly approach gives you
Compassionate resignation.
still feeling stuck, but maybe nicer about it.
Whereas the Course practice leads to
Curious openness. What can I learn here? How can I see this through the eyes of love? What gift is hidden here?
one makes you a victim coping well. The other turns you into a teacher, offering healing.
You're no longer defined by the problem. You become part of the solution just by shifting your perception.
Which brings us right back to the Course's idea of salvation. It's so different.
Totally different from the traditional view.
Yeah.
Traditional salvation often sounds like an external rescue operation.
God swoops in, rescues you from sin, pays off your metaphorical or literal debts, fixes your failures, takes away the suffering.
You messed up, I'll clean it up.
But the Course's salvation is
God saves you from the belief that the debt, the failure, the suffering actually defines you or has anything to do with your true identity.
the salvation isn't from the circumstance. It's from the misidentification with the circumstance. It's like you are already whole. I'll help you remove the blocks to your awareness of that wholeness.
So going back to the student debt, the initial thought might be salvation means God makes the debt go away.
A lottery win, a surprise inheritance.
Right. But the Course will say, even if that happened,
You might feel temporary relief, But the underlying belief system, the framework of the dream where such problems dictate worth, would still be intact.
So real salvation, according to the Course,
Is recognizing that the entire framework, the whole idea that debt or illness or relationship status or any external thing determined your worth or reality, that framework is the illusion you need saving from.
it's not the debt collector calling that's the core problem.
No, the core problem is believing their judgment or the world's judgment has any real power over you, believing the illusion is real.
So God's mercy then isn't about changing the dream's scenery for you.
No, it's about revealing that the scenery, the circumstances, never had the power to harm your true self in the first place.
Which takes us back to the lesson. I need but look upon all things that seem to hurt me, and merely watch them disappear.
They disappear not because the external form magically changes,
But because the meaning they held disappears. The power you gave them to define you dissolves as your perception shifts.
you see, they never had the power to hurt the real you. The illusion's hold breaks.
So the debt might still be on the statement.
But the equation debt unworthiness or debt failure completely vanishes from your mind.
That's why the Course calls salvation a reinterpretation, not a rescue.
Exactly. Nothing external has to change. Only your understanding of what you're looking at. It's all internal.
So the practice for today with this lesson,
Isn't about asking God to fix our situations. It's not, please make my debt go away.
it's asking to see past the belief that the debt or whatever the situation is has any power over our peace, our worth, our true self.
We're asking for healed perception, asking to see truly.
So as you engage with this today, we really invite you to reflect. What situations in your life feel like they desperately need that external fix, that worldly rescue?
And then, maybe just experiment. How might it feel to ask for a different kind of salvation instead? Asking not for the situation to change, but for your perception of it to be healed.
Well, thanks for joining us for this exploration today. Until next time, please remember, God in His mercy wills that you be saved.
Not from your circumstances, but from the belief that they hold any power over the magnificent truth of what you are.